I've got 7:01 p.m. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Everybody, we've got the agenda. Was there any changes, Ron?
I think we got them all incorporated, right?
Okay.
Colleen, is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah, everything should be on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
You have a second?
Second.
Did Angie drop out again? Okay.
Yep, looks like we lost her.
Bert, we'll keep moving on. Go ahead and vote by roll call.
Counselor Caceres,
Aye.
Counselor Ecclestone,
Aye.
Counselor Lee,
Aye.
Counselor Sini,
Aye.
Counselor Wick,
Aye.
Mayor Clevenger.
Aye.
Okay. And that's unanimous.
So first thing first, and we'll see if Angie's able to jump back in here or not. We've got the budget committee position, appointing that. We had two applicants, Katie Wallace and Jay Marshall. Both seem to be pretty qualified. Looking at the two, I was a fan of Katie Wallace. Did anybody have any objections to that at all?
Nope. If I could second that, I would.
So can we get a motion for that?
Move to approve the appointment of Katie Wallace to the Aumsville Budget Committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Go by roll call.
Counselor Caceres,
Aye.
and Counselor Ecclestone,
Aye.
Counselor Lee,
Aye.
Counselor Sini,
Aye.
Counselor Wick,
Aye.
Mayor Clevenger.
Aye.
And that is unanimous.
Next, we have our Arbor Day proclamation. So we've been doing this for a while now, right, Ron? So City of Aumsville recognizes, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Derek Clevenger, Mayor of the City of Aumsville, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2021 as Arbor Day in the City of Aumsville. And further, Council urges all citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Signed on, what is today? The 12th? Yeah, so this 12th day of April 2021 in Aumsville, Oregon.
Yeah, and I'll just say a couple of words about Arbor Day for us. This is a celebration that we do as part of our Tree City program. And as you know, last year we had a big event planned. We actually had 300 or 400 attendees planning to attend, and we had to cancel due to COVID. Obviously, we couldn't gear back up and do an event like that this year, but with this proclamation, we'll be doing a virtual video to the community, showing them the proper way to plant a tree. We had a lot of damaged trees throughout the community this year with the ice storm, and so we think that'll be timely and welcome. And there's a couple of programs where we might be able to get some trees that are free or low cost that we could give away throughout the community. So we're still working on that. And as we get closer to summer, we might push that into the fall, but we're still looking at it. Thank you, Mayor.
The COVID is just still throwing everything for a loop. Do we have any public comment? I see 3 attendees. If anybody has any comment they'd like to make, they can just press the little button to raise their hand and we'll pull them over to the room. I'm not seeing any, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Everybody get a chance to read through everything, read through the minutes and all that. Anybody have any issues with the minutes or any of that? Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Vote by roll call.
Counselor Cazares,
Aye.
Counselor Seha,
Aye.
Counselor Ecclestone,
Aye.
Counselor Lee,
Aye.
Counselor Sini,
Aye.
Counselor Wick,
Aye.
Mayor Clevenger.
Aye.
And that is unanimous.
All right, so we do have a public hearing on the Aumsville Developmental Code update. So I will go ahead and open the public hearing. I have 7:07 p.m. First, we have the staff report, Ron. You're muted, Ron.
Sorry. I'll try to go through this as quickly as possible. This has been available for over a week at the city, and I know council's had an opportunity to read through it. Basically, this is just a cleanup of our last development code update. A lot of this is actually formatting and word corrections. There are a couple of notable changes. Section 1 in definitions, we wanted to describe landscaping as mature landscaping. I'm not going to go into the details, council knows the details, but just trying to direct people to fulfill the landscaping requirements the way the city would like to see them. Just a couple of slight definition changes in the commercial section 7.03. And then under the business district design standards, council, when we did the updates, we wanted the design standards to basically match the ID zone standards that we had developed. Well, we missed a couple of those standards, so we're just including them back in here. They're the same standards we've been applying in the downtown district. We're just clarifying the code a little bit. Section 19 under signs. Basically what we did was we moved the definitions for each type of sign out of the definitions section and into the sign code section. We had it in 2 different places, and it was out of alphabetical order, and it was causing some confusion. So we just put that in the sign section. Development review, we just revised 21.03 to match our existing process. Again, supplemental zone regulations, we just again added some language in there for clarity. Oftentimes what we did, if you go through here and you see the red line version, there may have been a section that said one word and then it used another word as terminology. We just made them consistent to use all the same word. Landscaping section, we basically had 2 purpose statements there, one from the old code and one from the new code that we missed in the editorial when we're cleaning that up. So we're removing or combining those 2. So there's just one. And then mobile food carts, and we talked to this council about this. We added a section to allow non-permanent food carts in the city, but when the code was written, we put the word permanent in there, and we don't want to cite them permanently. That's why we have site development review, but we want to allow them. And so we cleaned up that code. Basically, as long as they have permission from a property owner, up to 3 food carts can site half the year. So they can cite like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, as long as they don't use up more than 120 or 180 days. And that was really what we proposed to council in the last update. There was a couple of words, it should have said non-permanent, and it said permanent. So we just wanted to clean that up. One of the things that we did do is in the code when we developed that, we said that the food trucks needed to be limited to 16 feet. And that is a typical food trailer. But food trucks are a little bit larger than that. And so we increased that size a little bit. We're not going to go out there and measure them, but basically the intent is a trailer or a truck can cite under that code. So we did increase that a little bit. And then under illustrations, we added an illustration of how we measure wall height, which is from the average grade to the top of the wall. That's how we now measure our buildings. If you look through sections A through, it goes on quite a little bit. A through L, you're going to find all the findings of facts for the decision criteria for each of these changes. And of course, council has the red line version in front of you, and you can see most of it is just formatting and grammatical, other than those changes I've outlined. I'm happy to answer any questions. I will just make one other comment. One of the things that we did talk about in our strategic planning session with council was looking at a way to spur development in the ID zone to try to lower the cost per square foot of development. We had talked about allowing residential apartments above commercial development. And we didn't include it in this version for you tonight. We did meet with DLCD staff and talk to them about it. And it actually was a very good conversation. I don't think they closed the door on that idea by any means, but they did give us some food for thought that if we looked at a code change like that for the ID zone, there's probably, we want to make sure that we've thought it out and we really memorialized in the code exactly what that's going to look like. And so we didn't try to push that into this update. We just wanted to really get the cleanup update done. And then in conversations to them, and we'll be actually talking a little bit more about our buildable land inventory later in the program. I think it's the next agenda item. But along with that, DLCD likes to look at a couple of things. They like to look at your employment opportunity analysis, your buildable land inventory, when you're looking at any of these code changes. And one of the things staff did not close the door on is the fact that, the council may want to look at, even if council really wants to see more of a commercial development out there, we might even go more in that direction, because one of their concerns was if you're trying to do some sort of industrial development, you certainly don't want to intermix that with a mixed use, housing apartment type development. And that was one of the obvious conflicts in that. We kind of always operated under the impression that they absolutely did not like us making any of those changes from industrial to commercial, but they seem to be receptive of that depending on what our inventories of those employment lands were. They see industrial zoned properties or uses as more long-term employment. So we're going to just do a deeper analysis of that, and then we'll see what comes out of that and have more conversations with council. Thank you.
Sounds good. So general testimony. Does anybody have anything from the attendees? Anybody like to provide any testimony? I see nothing, so no testimony means no rebuttal. Does anybody have any questions they would like to ask? So if that is the case, then we will close the public portion of the hearing at 7:15. We've got our council deliberations. This is mostly housekeeping. Is there anything we need to deliberate? All right, then we can go ahead and move on with this. So do we have a motion to approve the first reading?
I move that we approve the first reading
So just for housekeeping, Walter, if you go down to page 17, just the first reading of ordinance 73, whatever, just the way it's written out there.
I didn't print it out, so I actually
Oh.
don't have it sitting here next to me. Sorry.
I could go ahead and read the motion and then Walter could just restate it.
Whatever works, Ron.
So the proposed motion to approve would be to approve the first reading by title only of ordinance 703, repealing and replacing ordinance number 670 as presented, adopting the findings contained in the staff report.
Does that sound good to you, Walter? Is that what you're motioning?
Yeah, I would like to motion that. I read it, but I didn't print it.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Vote by roll call. You're muted, Colleen.
You're muted, Colleen. We can't hear you. Don't you just love it?
Kind of a mute evening, huh?
Wow. I think we all need a nap or something. Okay. Counselor Casaret.
Aye.
Counselor Seha.
Aye.
Counselor Ecclestone.
Aye.
Counselor Lee.
Aye.
Counselor Sini.
Aye.
Counselor Wick.
Aye.
And Mayor Clevenger.
Aye.
All right. That is a unanimous vote.
So since it was unanimous, we can do the second reading and adopt the ordinance. Does anybody want to motion for that?
I move to approve the second reading of ordinance number 703, repealing and replacing ordinance number 670 as presented, adopting findings contained in the staff report.
You have a second?
Second.
Vote by roll call.
Counselor Casares.
Aye.
Counselor Seha.
Aye.
Counselor Ecclestone.
Aye.
Counselor Lee.
Aye.
Counselor Sini.
Aye.
Counselor Wick.
Aye.
Mayor Clevenger.
Aye.
And that is unanimous.
All right, moving on. Old business, we have the agreement with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments for the Aumsville residential building land inventory and parks master plan update.
Yeah, and basically what this contract is to put all the pieces together to apply to expand the city's UGB, urban growth boundary, and also to apply to bring in our 23-acre park into the UGB so we can annex that into the city. The Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments has provided a contract for services with an estimated cost. As I explained to council previously, two things to know about this process is one, there is no guarantee that we'll be successful. We're going to go through the process and we'll see how it shakes out. And then remember, the cost estimate is kind of an estimated number of hours. So there could be some costs over and above this. We've talked about that with the Council of Government staff, and we acknowledge that. We do have, I believe, Renata from Mid-Willamette Council of Government. I think she's on the call. Can we bring her into the conversation?
Yes, please.
Yes.
And she's prepared a great little memo explaining the process. Hopefully council's had a chance to read that. And you can see the scope of work there that we're proposing. And do we have you on the line, Renata?
I'm here.
Great, thank you. So I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add to that.
Thanks, Ron, Mayor and members of the council. Nice to at least see you. Again, so COG provides planning services to member governments in our region, Marion, Polk, and Yamhill County on an as-needed basis. We have extensive experience in not only urban growth boundaries for expansions for parks, but also buildable land inventories, housing needs assessments, and EOAs or economic opportunities analysis. The process for a UGB expansion is very prescribed. We have to follow the administrative rules and revised statutes from the state. There's quite a bit of community engagement and outreach required, but the process itself is time consuming in that we just have to walk you through all of the findings and details required to show that an expansion is warranted. And so Ron's very familiar with this process. I imagine folks on the council, if you've been on the council for some time, are familiar with land use. So I no further comments. I'm just here for if you have any questions with my memo or the contract, and that starts on page 407 of your packet.
I don't have any questions. Does anybody else?
No.
I have no questions.
So I've got, I guess, one question for you, Ron. We're looking at that cost was associated with 26,000 and some change on the budget. Is that coming out of the parks budget specifically, or how is that getting funded under the current budget?
Some of the money, depending on what some of the money we can bill to the park SDC fund, because this particular park is SDC qualified and we've got a lot of capacity there for the value of the park. Yeah, and so some of it will come out of there for the work that we can associate with the work that's done to get the park into the UGB, and then the rest of it would just come out of our professional service line item. And we've got plenty of capacity in there. Like I say, just because we've been through this process before, I think I told council that the budget could be a little higher than what our estimated cost is. I just want council to know that Renata and I will work closely together to keep the cost down. But if it goes a little higher than this, that wouldn't be unexpected.
Okay. So do you just want a head nod from the council that we're okay with moving forward on this?
Well, what we'd like to do is have a motion authorizing me to sign the contract with the Midwood-Willamette Valley Council of Governments for the UGB expansion and buildable land inventory.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve that Administrator Harding enter an agreement with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments for contract services for UGB expansion as well as buildable lands inventory as presented.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
Second that.
Vote by roll call.
Counselor Cazares,
Aye.
Counselor Seha,
Aye.
Counselor Ecclestone,
Aye.
Counselor Lee,
Aye.
Counselor Sini,
Aye.
Counselor Wick,
Aye.
Mayor Clevenger.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
Cool. Moving on. Thank you so much, Renata. We appreciate having you here.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
New business. We have resolution number 0321, a resolution approving the change of indirect control of franchisee under the cable television franchise.
Yeah, and I think it's really all there in my staff report. We end up doing these fairly regularly. Sometimes these large corporations change majority shareholders often. And when they do, our franchise agreement basically calls for the council to adopt a resolution acknowledging that, which basically means they acknowledge the franchise terms.
We have a motion.
I move to approve the change of indirect control of the franchisee under the cable television franchisee Wave Division 7 LLC.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
Vote by roll call.
Counselor Cazares,
Aye.
Counselor Seha,
Aye.
Counselor Ecclestone,
Aye.
Counselor Lee,
Aye.
Counselor Sini,
Aye.
Counselor Wick,
Aye.
Mayor Clevenger.
Aye.
And that is unanimous.
Boy, Council, we are efficiently moving through this business agenda. This is fantastic.
That's a good thing. Let's keep that going. Resolution number 0421, a resolution in support of congressional appropriations for the wastewater facility. Ron and I had and Angie was there as well, had a meeting with Senator Merkley's office as well as Senator Wyden's office. And then I believe we also got in contact with Representative Schrader's office in regards to our needs with our water treatment. So I'll let you jump into that, Ron.
Well, this is just basically a resolution from the City Council acknowledging the ask from Congressman Schrader's office. That the ask to the House side of the federal delegation is the first step to get a direct appropriation, and then they'll work with the Senate side to reconcile the projects that are in each of their lists. We do know this is a long shot for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're still early in the process, meaning we don't have a complete new master plan, facilities master plan, which would dictate the specific requirements and the costs associated with that. So we're asking for kind of a future cost. So it is a little bit of a long shot, but we have put a lot of work into this. We have gotten other letters of support from both our state senator and our state representative. So we've gotten letters of support from Senator Patterson and a Representative Moore Green. And we've gotten some local cities that have sent letters of support for this project for us. City of Turner offered a letter of support. So we just got a few of those because we wanted, we want to be able to show that there's community-wide support. And we went ahead and issued the ask today. We filled out the appropriation request, and then we've got time. It's a separate process to apply all your supporting documents. So if council approves this, we'll have the mayor sign it, and we'll get this faxed over with the rest of our packets. What I did was I did ask West Tech Engineering to put together a little summary sheet. I felt that summary sheet, which is the 3 pages that precede that resolution, would go a long way at that technical memo to explaining to our representatives the issues that we face. And so this is a good technical memo also for council to use if you happen to be talking to any representatives. Keep that little 1 page. That's very good.
And even though we know this is a long shot, this is not the only thing we're doing. This is part of the approach that Ron and I talked about, leaving no stone unturned, because realistically the detriment that this presents to the community if we don't find some help funding this is pretty massive. So
yeah, I mean, even if we're able to get partial funding, and it just buys it down, that's I don't want anyone to think that like we're taking Hail Marys because that's all that's left at this point. We're gonna do everything at the same time. So and just to add to that, Mayor, I have had multiple meetings with our state senator, our state representative, the resource solution from the governor's office. That's their direct contact to our cities. They're all aware of the issue, and there are state funded pools too. As a matter of fact, I was going to bring it up in my report, but it seems timely to go ahead and do it right now. The Ways and Means Committee is actually they actually have a public hearing on how to spend the $2.6 billion that the state has got, and that's on the 14th. Colleen sent a flyer out. I think it would be great. I don't know if the mayor's available.
I can make myself available.
But the mayor and a couple of council members, I would take that technical memo and I would try to offer some testimony there, and just let them know what detriment a project like that is. I mean, it's great benefit to the environment, And we know that a lot of our projects are geared now towards protecting the environment. So it seems like it fits with a lot of the things that the state has as priorities. I think just letting them know that we're a small community, we still have a high percentage of our population that's in the, lower income brackets. And we really need some assistance at the state level. So if you guys could testify on the 14th, that would be fantastic.
Is that 14th of this month? Or are we talking 14th of next month?
It's this month. It's 2 days, Wednesday.
Right. I'm going to come in and bug you tomorrow, Ron, so we can get all spun up on this and
Okay.
get me all the details. And I will. But do we know what time that hearing is?
Colleen sent out a flyer, but you and I will review it tomorrow, and I'll put together some talking points.
Okay, I'll make that happen.
So if you could approve this resolution, we'll get that in the packet.
Do we got a motion on the table? Let's do it, people.
I move to approve resolution 0421, a resolution to support federal appropriation for the city of Aumsville's wastewater treatment facility as presented.
We have a second.
Second that.
Vote by roll call.
Counselor Casares,
Aye.
Counselor Seha,
Aye.
Counselor Ecclestone,
Aye.
Counselor Lee,
Aye.
Counselor Sini,
Aye.
Counselor Wick,
Aye.
Mayor Clevenger,
Aye.
and that is unanimous.
Great. And I would just add in your packet right next to that resolution is a letter to Senator Merkley's office. And that is the talking points. So right there are the talking points if you're talking to anybody or you want to testify. But we're also going to address this from the council. So this letter will go with each of your names on it. And then I had it in my report later, but since it's timely, I'll just get it out of the way. I did send a letter with my name on it, but on behalf of the city to our Marion County commissioners. Marion County commissioners are going to get, or the county will get a direct appropriation of $67 million in the American relief funds. And I'd asked on our behalf if they, number one, they'd write us a letter of support. But number two, if they would find some money to help contribute to the project, because if we can get a commitment from another entity to contribute funds, it raises your visibility at the federal level. So if we can do that, we want to do that. I also did put in the letter, and I just want you to know this is non-committal, but I did put, we're supposed to get about $852,000 of direct appropriation through the America's Relief Bill. And I did put in there that if we were able to get a funding allocation from the federal government, we would contribute our share of that funds as matching funds. Now that this is kind of a non-committal unless we get an appropriation, and then we're kind of committed because we said that. And I've done that in advance. I've taken a little bit of liberty on your behalf. I hope you're okay with it.
I'm fine with that, Ron. Was it eight? I thought it was 872, but 852, 872. I guess at this point it's not that huge of a difference.
Yeah, we still only have what they call their percentage formula breakdown, and so we don't have an exact number, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah,
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Moving on. I guess we're to your report, Ron. So we can just go over all this.
Okay, yeah. Police report is in your packet. Public Works report is in your packet. I think, it's all pretty standard stuff in their packet. I'll go into my report. I don't think we're seeing major spikes with COVID. I think we're just seeing the natural progression of COVID. We're up an accumulated number to 272 positive cases in the Aumsville zip code. Remember, that's from a start a year ago. So I think we've done fairly well as a community. They're just reporting back. I won't go through that, but community events, it's all listed there. I think we had a great planning meeting session. We really focused a lot on the Corn Festival because there's some key things that we need to do early on to commit and, apply for the permits and many of those types of things. So you can read that in my packet. If you want to get in on the planning for Corn Festival, it's open to everybody at our event planning committee meeting, and just call City Hall, or if you guys want an invite and you're not on the invite list, just let Colleen know.
I can just throw out there, Ron, with that. I know it's early, but for the council, keep in mind names or suggestions of individuals for Grand Marshal of the parade, and you can either shoot those names to me or to Ron. That's probably something that since the Cornfest board is not doing it now, we're doing our planning committee. It's something that'll be discussed there, and we'll probably, as a council, nominate that person as the Grand Marshal.
Yeah, we would really appreciate it, because it's a lot of pressure for us to figure that out. If you don't mind taking some of that pressure off of us, we're happy to we're happy to do it. The theme for the Corn Festival that we decided on is all dressed up and nowhere to grow. We kind of thought that was timely with COVID, and people are kind of itching to get out of the house, right? So we're hoping to play on that and maybe capitalize on that a little bit. And I think so far we got a great event planned. So we're just hoping that we continue to see a decrease in the COVID numbers, but know that we're talking about all kinds of different scenarios, and the planning committee is ready to pivot if we need to pivot one way or the other. So just know that. I'm not going to cover item 3 because we just discussed it. Direct allocation, already got that. Dog park, we're on the schedule for mid-May to get the fencing installed. I'm meeting with Public Works tomorrow morning, because I do want to try to push some of these projects up a little higher, because I see we're going to get into that May-June time period, and parks are going to be opening, Wildwood's going to be opening, and we're going to be backlogged on some of these projects. So we're going to try to push some of those up in the timing a little bit. But just wanted you to know that wheelchair swing, we've selected a location out at Wildwood Park for a couple of reasons. One, it's already ADA accessible, so there's a lot of sidewalks and stuff. And the spray park is ADA accessible, so we thought that would be a good location for it. And so that's the plan for that. I have been getting other ideas for ADA style equipment. So I think when we go to install additional equipment or new equipment, either in our new park or one of our old parks, there's a number of wheelchair bound children in our community. And so I think that's one of the things we could certainly look at a little bit more. Okay, and then just a kind of a sign off for you. Council did approve us remodeling the community center kitchen. I sent you basically the mock-up of that earlier tonight in your email. I'm ready to hit the go button on that. We have money already budgeted in the building improvement fund. So it's money we already have. If you guys are okay with it, later this week, I'm going to get that stuff on order. It's about 8 weeks to get everything in. And, we're going to have to do a little bit of remodeling in there, but it'll certainly be a lot nicer, more efficient environment. I did check in with county health because I thought, well, if we could get the kitchen certified, everything we're putting in there is the boxes that you check to certify the kitchen. And I thought if we could get it certified, that others who wanted to do food service could come in there and rent the community center for that purpose. Apparently, that's not really the way it works. Every person would have to recertify that space. And it's fairly expensive, and there's an exemption for community centers. So for us to use it under our normal community use, we don't have to have it certified. So I'm not going to pursue that at this point, but know that I think it'll be set up. It'll be pretty nice. We're going to put a double refrigerator in there. If you look at the diagram between the refrigerator and the sink, you see another counter. That actually is a hand washing sink, but they had to put something in its place. they don't have all the things that you're buying. And then the sink is a 3-compartment sink. So you're not going to have any cabinets on the sink side until you get past the sink. And then the other side is where we're going to move the stove to. But do you guys have any questions? Are you okay with me moving forward and making this happen?
Looks
I like
like
it. It looks good.
Okay.
Real quick, Ron, I just pulled up the email that Colleen resent to everyone. It looks like we're on Saturday, not Wednesday. It's different days for different districts. We're District
Okay.
5. So that'll be 1 to 3 p.m. on Saturday, the 24th.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Somebody else had asked in the chat for that. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks District 1 is on Wednesday, but we're on.
Okay. We're on Saturday. Okay. I can provide information to council, but you guys really need to provide that information to those elected officials. We've got a lot of things going on, council. I mean, you guys really approved a lot of contracts. Some of that stuff is in engineering with the American direct contribution from the American relief funds. All cities have a pool of money, and a lot of them are using them for infrastructure. So engineering firms are getting overwhelmed, as are the personal consultants that are working on a lot of these projects. So that's going to backlog some of our stuff, I'm sure, but we're going to keep pushing. I put a lot of pressure on Public Works and on our engineering firm to keep our stuff moving forward, but just know we got a lot of irons in the fire right now. And I'll circle back to something else, but just keep that in mind. There's just not a lot of extra capacity. Our budget's looking really good. I've got most of the preliminary numbers put together, and our projections look good moving into the future, 4 or 5 years. Obviously, we haven't factored into that, these large capital expenditures, but of course those will have to get factored in as we approve those and appropriate those through rates or grants or a combination of the two. And we have built in some capacity in our capital fund transfers that we can buy down some pretty good sized projects without major rate increases. So, typically we might be looking at a 20 or so % increase to do a capital project. With the capacity we have currently built into that capital fund transfer, we probably could do a good size capital project in the water fund for maybe 2% or 3% additional. So it's I think we're in a good position to get what you and the community would like to see here, and that is getting some of this infrastructure put into place. One of the things I haven't talked to you about this before, but just as I'm analyzing this, I really think we need to think about getting an extra public works staff position approved for a couple of reasons. Number one, our public works department is slammed. Just, when we have an event like the storm, and we're still cleaning up from the storm, because remember, our daily tasks don't stop when we have an event like that. And then we have all these special projects. We've got a number of small sidewalk projects that we could be doing. And we just can't get to those. We just don't have that staffing capacity. There is money based on where the numbers are today to get an additional staff person in the public works department without an additional rate increase, at least for the next couple of years. If you look at the forecast model, when we get into year 3, then the fund starts to dip down. But here's what I would say about that. When we get to that point, we're going to be staffing up for a water treatment facility, and rates are going to be indicative of adding those people. If we can add somebody on early and start getting them certified to operate a wastewater facility, get them the time in so they can take those tests, it's a lot less expensive than if we go out and try to hire somebody with certification 2 or 3 years from now. So I'm thinking that we really need to think about adding at least one person now to help with some of this backlog. And then, maybe we look at that again next year or the year after, and then make a plan for staffing up that facility. But I just wanted to get
3 years out. We're also looking at this UTV expansion. We're also looking at the interchange development area. So that forecast may tweak a little bit as far as increases and stuff like that. So doing it now and having a better ability to forecast out when we hit that 3-year mark is going to be important.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is, at some point in that period of time, that new park's going to be on board. We don't have a capacity for maintaining a 23-acre park either. So those are all things that we have to start thinking about as we look at how do we fund these things as we move into the future. And it will bump up rates. Right now, we have the rates at just the standard 3% inflationary increase going over the next 4 or 5 years. And, some of our forecasts are, like as an example, we might have $50,000 in a line item for the water utility for repairs. Well, normally we don't utilize that. It's there for an emergency. And if you look at the last 10 years, we've only used it once out of the last 10 years, and that was this year. Yeah. Because we just happened to have a bunch of breakdowns. And so you have to budget for that, but oftentimes you end up returning that back. So I feel really confident. I don't feel like it's going to put a strain on us to add a person. And if you ask me, where is the capacity need right now? It's in Public Works.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Is that something that we can look at with this budget cycle we're about ready to get into and getting that put in there, or is it too late for that?
No, as a matter of fact, I've hypothetically, we have that model where we can add a person or take a person out. I've hypothetically already done that analysis. That's how I know for at least for the next 2 years, we're good. The only thing, and you can do that anytime. I mean, getting a new person on board at any point would be helpful.
Yeah.
I will tell you that right now we are interviewing. So we've already advertised for the open position, which was one Public Works position. We've got a couple of candidates. I may or may not find 2 good candidates. If I do, I'll come back to council and say, hey, I've agreed to hire one. I've got another one I'd like to hire, and we can take it from there. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know we could add someone at any time. I'm just thinking with this budget cycle coming up, it'd be nice to have everything presented as opposed to having, amendments later on and whatnot. So but yeah, I like that idea. I would say move forward with it. Does anybody have any objections with that?
I got some. Is there any way we could just open the position to a temp in-def? That way, if we find out we don't need an additional staffer, then it's like, all right, sorry. Or I don't know. I mean, I don't know how local government works.
Well, I mean, everybody's at the pleasure of the council. Everybody's what they call an at-will employee. So we can eliminate a person at any point. That's just what government work is. Typically, you wouldn't want to hire somebody as a temp because you're trying to get the best people. So you want to attract them from another field that they're working in, but they know they sign something that says they acknowledge that they're at will. But I can tell you that with the capacity of the workload that we have over the next 5 years, we're not going backwards in Public Works. We're going to see, if we end up building the treatment facility, we're going to have to double that staff in Public Works at least. So.
And I know you're familiar with the federal technician side of things, Scott, and them utilizing those positions regularly. That's not something that in this situation is really, really feasible, because we're not going to not see that growth. We're not going to not require that position. It's more of do we get ahead of the curve and get that one position headed up now, or do we wait 3 years and then we're kind of behind the curve? But either way, and at that 3-year point, we're going to potentially need more than just one. So this is really more just let's get ahead of the curve and get someone in now.
Really, the conversation is just at the 3rd year, we're going to have to increase rates a little bit to keep up with the staffing level above the 3%. But at year 3, we're going to be doing that anyway because of the capital O&M.
Okay, that answers my question.
Yeah. All right. And then the only other thing is on May 4th at 6 p.m., I'm doing a general Zoom information meeting. You're welcome to attend. We'll advertise it as a special meeting in case we get a majority of the council that does want to pop in. Don't feel like you have to do it. It's really just for people to ask me questions about the budget, me to give a quick overview. We'll have sent the proposed budget out to you at that point anyway, but overall, we're looking good. We did not realize some of the growth related revenues in our system development funds because a number of projects just didn't materialize that we thought would.
Right.
But our overall revenues outside of SDC funds are above where we projected them. So even without that, we've done fine. That's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I got nothing. Anybody got anything?
Nope.
No.
Beautiful.
All right, so, I mean, like I said, the last meeting, as far as reports, go to the order, all that kind of stuff. As of right now, I'm scheduled to be in Niger. I believe I'm supposed to be getting there on the 11th now. So that means I'm probably leaving the 9th or the 10th in order to get there in time. But just like every other trip, if this one's a short one, I don't even know if we'll have a council meeting during that time frame. Let's see. So there's potential on the 10th. I could end up missing that meeting just based on travel. But with the time difference and everything, I as long as I'm at my hotel in time, I should be able to make, because that'll be the 11th for me. But if not, it is what it is.
The 11th is our budget committee meeting. I'm gonna, hopefully we're gonna try to get it done in one meeting again this year if we can, but if not.
And the 11th for you guys, that'll be the 12th for me. So by then I will be at my hotel and everything. It won't be an issue. But that the city council meeting on the 10th, depending on what the actual time difference is and what time I get into the hotel, there is potential of me missing that one. But we'll see.
Okay.
Once I have my itinerary, I'll be able to let everyone know. Anybody else have anything for good of the order? Any reports? Go for it, Nico.
Just wanted to take the time to thank staff for all the time they put in making our Easter event really amazing. Megan and I had the chance to go around with staff in the afternoon to pass out some Easter treats and some bags, and it was awesome to hear the feedback both during and after the fact that people were really enthused that despite a lot of municipalities and other organizations not doing anything, we managed to cobble something together and to do so in a short amount of time, but also in an amazing fashion as well. And a lot of the feedback I got was people were really appreciative. It put a lot of smiles on people's faces, and it gave kind of I don't want to use the term equal, but it gave our youngsters a chance to kind of get a nice treat and it not be, okay, some kid got 84 eggs, another kid got like 5 or like nothing. Yeah. And they put an amazing float together. Easter Bunny did an amazing job, and we had a blast doing it. And I just wanted to recognize staff for the amazing job they did in getting that all together, because it definitely gave people something to look forward to and be happy about. So thank you.
I know people were jazzed about that.
Yeah, we distributed over 500 treat bags, and a lot of the kids were out there dancing. Some of them had costumes they made. They had prepared for the event. There's actually quite a few like that. So it was pretty nice.
Cool.
Megan and I loved it. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else got anything? All right. Well, if there is nothing else, I've got 7:56. We'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.